99.1 KGOH Colby and 107.3 K297AI Hill City. We are getting ready to get right back into it. I love that they put me in the driver's seat. A little bit scary that they do that, but we have another special guest in here, a friend. Awesome to see you.
You're an old pro, Cody. You're used to the driver's seat.
Oh, God bless you. We got Dr. Abe Fisher in here, and it's been a little while because you guys moved out of our area. You know, I was a little sad when I got that text, but we're making it through. You know, it's a little bit more of a struggle because you guys were pillars, but let me introduce Dr. Fisher here. So Dr. Fisher holds a PhD in systematic theology from Marquette University with special interests in ecclesiology, sacramental theology, and fundamental theology. He and his wife, Jan, are both Kansas natives with deep ties to family farms. They've recently moved back to Kansas from Wisconsin, where Abe taught at Marquette University, Sacred Heart Seminary, and in the permanent diaconate program for the Milwaukee Archdiocese. Abe and Jan currently manage their family farm in McDonald, where they live with 2 of their 3 adult sons. And you guys helped out a lot with the OCIA program too. So
we did that for 3 years and really liked that.
Yeah. What a blessing.
Haven't found our way back into OCIA too much yet, but maybe someday we'll get back in that out in God's country.
Yeah.
We like to refer to it.
God bless you. That's what I say about Kansas. You know, I've traveled a few places. I'm not like a world traveler or anything, never really been out of the country, but I've traveled enough in the United States that when I get into hills and trees and stuff like that, sure, they're beautiful for a little bit, but after a while, you want to see something. And so I like that Kansas, I can see stuff. so yes.
I would just say that I've traveled enough. And hopefully we've just landed now and we'll be there for the rest of our lives. We're tired of moving.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So Abe, Dr. Fisher, you're in here to talk to us about Christ our Light, which
Christ our Light.
Fantastic.
I love the theme when Nathan put that out, the light and the darkness. And this is kind of the first thing that came to my mind. So, you know, when I put that phrase out there, Christ our Light, what does that make you think of?
I mean, first, if you think about the Gospels and just how he came.
Okay.
And like, boom.
Fair enough. I'm thinking of the entrance into the church by the deacon at the Easter Vigil.
Oh, wow.
So we start off the Easter Vigil and we bless the fire. And from the fire, we light the blessed Easter candle. And we come into the church and we light all of our individual candles from that blessed Easter candle.
Yeah.
And we see the light just spreading throughout the church, throughout the congregation. And then the deacon tells us what this is. He holds it up and he intones 3 times, Christ our Light. And so it's kind of like we're flipping to the back of the book here and looking at the answer and seeing that this light that we're talking about, this light in the darkness, is actually Christ our Light. So I thought, well, okay, maybe we should back up and just talk a little bit about where does that come from? What is that light and what do we understand by it? And there's a lot built into that's throughout the whole 2,000-year history. No, more like 6,000-year history of Israel and Christendom.
Wow, fantastic. So let me get right back to that. I just want to do a trivia question here because I got so excited. I saw Dr. Fisher. I'm like, oh, look who I have next. I completely forgot to do the trivia question. So let's break in really quickly. Let's do a trivia question. Call 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. I probably ought to I turned my phone off. Let me look, see if there's anybody. See if they texted me and said, hey, you forgot to do the trivia question. So, all right. 2:00 trivia question is, what is the shortest liturgical season? Is it A, Easter, B, ordinary time, C, Triduum, or D, Lent? What is the shortest liturgical season? A, Easter, B, ordinary time, C, Triduum, D, Lent. 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. If you know that answer, we will get you put into the drawing for a $50 gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts if you are the first one with the correct answer. All right, back to Dr. Abe Fisher talking about Christ our Light.
Yeah. So backing up, just this idea of light to begin with, when we're talking about the light in the darkness, where does this come from? And Father Leo touched on this some this morning. So we'll recap here just a little bit. He did a nice job with that. But going back to creation, back to the book of Genesis, the very first creative act of God, the first act of God that is revealed to us is this creation of light. And actually, it's creation. He created light, but it's really more of like a self-expression. God expresses himself in this one perfect word, right? He expresses himself into that which is not God. And he speaks, let there be light, this perfect word of God. In the beginning, there was nothing but emptiness and darkness. Darkness covered the abyss, right? There's just dark and empty. God spoke, let there be light, his first word. So this is God inserting himself, expressing himself into what is not God, and it appears out of nothing as light. The relationship there is very close to one-to-one. We speak a lot about the light of God, the light of Christ. Really, as we'll see as we go along, this light is God, is God himself. I think it's kind of interesting that even in terms of physics, of what we understand about things, light is a deep mystery even to physicists, right?
Yeah.
They can't figure out if it's a particle or a wave.
Yeah.
It's built into Einstein's famous theorem about energy. Energy is based on mass and light. It's infused into everything that there is in our universe. It's the limit of what we can do, unless you get into Star Wars or Star Trek, where they can go faster than light. The rest of reality, it gives us our limit. So light is kind of has a lot of divine mystery built into it. So God saw that this was good, right? He called light into being, and he saw that it was good. And of course, it had to be good. God is goodness itself, and this is the self-expression of God, this light. It had to be good. But for some reason, he allows the darkness to coexist. This light, when it enters the world on that first day of creation, it's not just all light. Darkness remains, right? God, he doesn't destroy the darkness. He separates the light from the darkness. So, that's kind of a first question that seems to arise. Why can't this darkness just go away, be destroyed, right?
Yeah.
I think several things. First, darkness is kind of like cold and even like evil. It doesn't so much have a substance or a reality of its own. It's a negative concept.
Yeah.
Darkness is the absence of light, like cold is the absence of heat. So darkness is just all of those areas that the light has not yet been received, has not touched, or has not been received and accepted. And we'll get to that in a little bit later, kind of what our role in that is, or our obligation. So he's expressing himself in the abyss, in what's not God. And we experience this light specifically as light because it's in the darkness.
Yeah.
You think about, so the theme of the week is light in the darkness, or light shining in the darkness. And with the exception of this, we don't normally think of light shining in the light.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty bright.
Yeah.
Light can shine in the light, but we don't really notice it if it does, right? We don't see it too much. We don't think of that. When darkness is around and you light a single candle, however large or however small, we recognize it as light. We appreciate it. We understand it as light because of the darkness that we're in, and because of the benefit it gives to us if we're in the darkness.
And you asked a question, well, kind of, you floated something out there, why can't this darkness just go away? Why can't it just be dispelled? And maybe you'll get into this later. I don't want to ruin it for you. But the Gospel of John, Jesus clearly tells us the light came into the world, but men preferred darkness.
Mhm.
And so one of the reasons is because we choose it.
Yeah.
It's because God gave us free will, and ergo, we can decide to either choose him or choose not him.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. He separates the light from the darkness, and he asks us to make a choice. And if we don't have that option, that ability to make a choice, we also don't have the ability to love.
Yeah.
Because we have to have that free will, that choice, in order to really to reach out in love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, light in the darkness is a very important concept.
Let me take a very
unfortunately.
quick break here because I want to congratulate Walker Robin, who is our winner. Nice job, Walker, on that trivia question. What's the shortest season, liturgical season? That would be the Easter Triduum. So a very good job on that. We'll get to another question at 2:30, but right now I also want to thank Jackie Scott. Jackie pledged $100, and that becomes a $200 pledge with our matching funds. So thank you, Jackie, very much for that. If you want to partner with Jackie and with everybody who supports us, please call 785-621-4110. We have that total goal of $125,000 so that we can pay our bills and we can keep doing this. So call 785-621-4110 and help us to evangelize the world. 785-621-4110. But let's get right back to Dr. Abe Fisher talking about Christ our light.
Yeah. Well, first we're going to talk about a little bit more about the darkness.
Okay.
When Jan and I, you mentioned we were involved in OCIA for several years, and we used to like to start with the condition of humanity and the hopelessness of our situation, the terrible fate that awaits us, and our helplessness to get ourselves out of it, and just the importance of really feeling that existentially, the bad news, before you can really hear and receive the good news as good news. You have to understand the hopelessness of your situation. And so it's sort of the same way here. And this has been kind of the story of humanity, right away. So God separates the light from the darkness. He sets this up and gives us a choice. And right away, we choose darkness, right? We have the fall of Adam and Eve, and they choose darkness for whatever reason, for many reasons. And God is still there. God doesn't abandon them completely. He hands down the punishment. He's still there. He gives them the promise of salvation at some point. But there's a darkness now that envelops all of creation because of this fall, and we see it playing out again and again. The people become arrogant and build the Tower of Babel and try to become God themselves, and that God deals with that. And then the people become unremittingly evil, and God has to destroy most of humanity with the flood. And then they repopulate the earth. They fall into the Egyptian captivity, and when they come out, this chosen people, this special people of God, struggles with idolatry, as we all still do today. It struggles with this to the point that eventually they lose their promised land. They lose the promises of the covenant, at least temporarily. They're thrown into exile, this long, mournful, painful separation from the light, from God. When you think about this, it's sort of the it's a punishment, but it's also just an inevitable consequence.
Yeah.
If God is the light, and you turn your back on that, and you walk away, and you begin worshiping idols, you walk away from the light, you're going to be in darkness. You're going to find yourself enveloped with this darkness. And so this is where the people of faith, the chosen people, were for centuries before the coming of Christ. They're mired in this exile, apart from the promised land, apart from the temple, feeling estranged, feeling separated from God, even though God was always still there. And I just bring this up and dwell on this a little bit because of the season that we're in. This is such a appropriate mindset for us to bring to this season of Advent, of waiting and preparing and reflecting and just sort of feeling the darkness that we're in, or that we were in before the coming of Christ. And again, the more you kind of can feel that enveloping darkness, the greater the joy at the coming of Christ.
Yeah.
At the incarnation, at Christmas, at the birth of Christ.
Yeah, I think also for me, as you're talking there, it really does, as we were talking earlier, it really does hit me when you think about the shepherds, because obviously, at least some of them had to be faithful Jewish people, because at the announcement of Christ, they immediately go to see him, but also what time of day is it? I mean, it's night, and so you can almost feel the author putting that in there to help us understand the weight that is on them. Like you're talking, they've been out without the Messiah for hundreds of years, and just been waiting on him, and you can almost feel it weighing down on them. And then all of a sudden, boom, like, here's what you've been waiting for. And so for me also, sometimes it does take us to, like you were saying, lose everything to be able to see the light of Christ in that proper manner. So, sometimes when we're stuck in those ruts and things like that, it's not because God left or because he doesn't love us, but because he knows to get you to see the light, you're going to have to go through this.
Yeah. If we're separated from God, you said it well, it's not because God left. It's because we left.
Yeah.
And we have to turn around and come back. But I think I've been thinking about this the last few days and visiting with my wife about it. Reading through the book of Isaiah would be an awesome Advent project.
Yeah.
For number one, it's really long. And it's sort of, as you're reading through this, it's a big, long project. It kind of helps you feel how long and arduous this wait was that they had. And number two, he's focusing on the reasons, explaining, okay, well, first of all, the first part of Isaiah is prophesying, if you don't change your ways, this is going to happen.
Good luck. Yeah.
And then second Isaiah is like, well, it happened. And so now you've got to deal with it. Now you've got to find a different way to live in relationship with God, but there's hope. And, and he goes on, it's a lot of kind of talking about the darkness and explaining the darkness, but sprinkled all through Isaiah are these wonderful prophecies of the coming Messiah that gives us that hope. And it's kind of like a little microcosm of this centuries long Advent wait that we go through every year, that we commemorate every year, until we finally get to things like Isaiah 9. This is before the exile, but this is a very famous prophecy. So we've talked about being mired in this darkness, and Isaiah says, like, okay, you better change your ways or you're going to be separated from God. And then he says in chapter 9, very familiar phrase, the people who walked in darkness have seen a great light, right? Have seen a great light. Those who lived in a land of gloom, upon those who lived in a land of gloom, a light has shone. He describes it for a little bit. For unto us a child is born, a son is given. Upon his shoulder dominion rests. They name him Wonder Counselor, God Hero, Father forever, Prince of Peace, sits on the throne of his father David. I mean, it's a very specific and very hopeful prophecy. There's another one from Isaiah in today's readings for the daily Mass. This is much later in Isaiah 25. On this mountain, the Lord of hosts will provide this feast of rich food and choice wines. He'll destroy the veil that veils all people, the web that's woven over all nations. The reproach of his people he will remove. He'll wipe away the tears from all faces. For the hand of the Lord will rest on this mountain. I mean, Isaiah is not 100% doom and gloom. He sprinkled in there
Yeah.
are these beautiful, hopeful prophecies that lead us right up to Christmas joy, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, that is awesome. Real quick break here. I want to thank Lorraine Brungart. Lorraine gave a $1,000 donation. And once again, with our matching funds, that's a $2,000 donation. Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you for our matching donors. We really appreciate it. Please join with Lorraine and call 785-621-4110 if you can help us continuing to evangelize. 785-621-4110. And I can guarantee you that Michael and Nathan, they do their very best to make sure that we are getting the program we need, that it is that your donation dollars are spent wisely and used wisely. And same with our board. We pour over it every month to make sure, hey, this is what our donors want. This is what we're going to give them, and make sure that we are staying true to the gospel. 785-621-4110. We're getting back with Dr. Abe Fisher talking about Christ, our light. Where are we going to go from here, sir?
All right. So are you going to read the book of Isaiah during Advent?
Actually, I've had to read through some of it recently for a class. That's not a bad idea, though, because there are so many of the prophecies that are fulfilled in Christ. So as you read through it, yes, you should get a sense of like, oh, Jesus, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah, it's very meaty. I mean, there's a lot of prophecies for the coming of the Messiah and the incarnation, and also for the passion of Christ, and passion and resurrection. It's a big
rich
project.
Yeah.
But something to think about. That idea, these prophecies, and so we have this humanity, and in particular the chosen people, who have, because of their poor choices, as we all make, have found themselves mired in this kind of suffocating darkness, really, right? I mean, they've been suffering with this for a long time, and they have these prophecies. A light will come unto us, a child is given. These people who walk in darkness have seen a great light. And then we come upon the prologue of the Gospel of John, right? This beautiful poem that opens up. It's not the first words of the New Testament. John is the fourth gospel, of course, but this is the first words of his gospel. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Still is, by the way. He was in the beginning with God, and through him all things came to be through him, and without him nothing came to be. What came to be through him was life, and this life was the light of the human race. So this word, the Word of God and light, are always together. They accompany one another. Whenever that comes up, what came to be through him was life, and this life was the light of the human race. The light shines in the darkness, our theme, and the darkness has not overcome it. So God allows this darkness to remain. He separates the light from the dark, and the light shines in the darkness. It doesn't completely dispel it, but neither does the darkness ever overcome it. And when we're in a dark place, that darkness can sometimes seem bigger than the light that we have, can seem kind of overwhelming or pervasive, like a fog rolling in or something, like suffocating almost. But a single candle, a single small piece of light, it's helpless against even the smallest light, let alone the light of the world. The darkness can never overcome that. It's just a matter of shining that light everywhere that it needs to be shown.
Yeah. And I would say also sometimes this is, sometimes the darkness God allows what's called the dark night of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the consolations aren't given because it's when we grow the most. Because when we're allowed to struggle in those moments and go, okay, I'm praying, like Saint Mother Teresa, who went years with no spiritual consolation, even wondered, God, are you even there?
Right.
But yet she stuck with it because she knew the Lord is there, even if I can't sense him. I'm going to continue. I'm going to stick with this. And she's a saint.
She's a spectacular saint. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so that's one of those things is if we're in a difficult spot, one thing is, you know, is God letting this happen for a greater growth?
Yeah.
But also sometimes I think we blame God for things we do ourselves. There are things called natural consequences.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, if we see a cave and we're out in the bright, beautiful sunlight, you know, just trees and green everywhere, and we're like, we're like, but I think I'd rather be down in that deep, dark cave. And we walk down in it. Well, there goes the light because we've walked into the darkness.
We've walked into the darkness. Yeah.
So
it's interesting you bring that up, the dark night of the soul. I don't know that I've ever experienced anything anywhere near on that level of Mother Teresa or St. John of the Cross that talks about this, but there's, you know, ebbs and flows in the spiritual life.
Yeah.
I've heard an interesting comment from two different highly esteemed sources just in the last couple of weeks about that. I thought was interesting. God, when a soul is just coming to know God, is like a baby religious person, so to speak. God will shower them with lots of gifts, spiritual gifts, to let them know I'm here and I love you, and these are the things that I can do and will do for you, or whatever. As you mature in the faith a little bit, sometimes he'll pull back those gifts with the goal of bringing that soul to the point of loving God for God and not loving the benefits of God.
Not loving him for his
the
gifts
of God. Yeah, these gifts. Which, you know, it can be pretty painful, but to get to the point where I just love you because you're good, because you're good. You're my creator. But anyway, that's maybe
no, I've had
it's a little off topic, but it's
not to their level, but I have had to work through some of this, so it does make a lot of sense. When I first became Catholic, it's a lot like what you were saying. This is awesome. Wow, you know, I can't wait to do this and this and this and this, and you know, I think it was even my wife that had cautioned me. She's like, "Don't do too much," and she wasn't trying to like tell me to not get into the faith, you know, because she was Catholic. But she was very right. I had kind of pridefully been like, too much. What are you kidding me? This is great. And so I did try to do everything. And I did find one of those spots where all of a sudden I was like, wait a minute. I don't know what this feeling is. This is foreign. I'm not getting the same, you know, I'm not getting the same high that I used to off of this spiritual thing. Like, what's going on? And so that's when I went to a spiritual director, and this was, well, I think it was Father Fred back then. So, so you know, he obviously helped me to understand that, and was the first person to talk to me about St. John of the Cross and things like that. And so yeah, I would agree with you 100% that it is one of those things that people, especially new to the faith, just be cautioned that don't live on those spiritual edifications. Because if God does pull back so that you can know him for himself, you don't want to be you don't want to be a spoiled child, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
well, and it also moves the relationship deeper.
Yeah.
Right. When you're just in love with the person and not with their benefits. I mean, even in a spousal relationship.
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago, I was really frustrated trying to buy I don't know if it was a birthday card or an anniversary card or something like that for my wife. And every card that I saw, I love you because you're a great cook. I love you because you do this and that for me. I love you. You know, I couldn't find anything that said, I just love you.
I just love you.
I love you
for you,
for who you are, you know? And yeah, I finally did find one, I think, or just wrote it myself. But yeah, I mean, that's the pervasive idea. I love you for what you can do for me or what you do for me. And we don't want to be like that with God.
Yeah.
Right. Or with
anybody.
Spouse.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get back on track there and go where you were headed.
So, you know, just Just as it was in the beginning, here in the prologue of John, light always accompanies the word of God. God speaking his word into the abyss. Light accompanies that. And there's another very familiar phrase, Psalm 119, your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. The word and the light just kind of always go together. So I guess moving along, I was just gonna look a little bit at, so what does the light do for us? What does the light accomplish for us?
All right, hold
Do you
that
need a
thought
break?
for 1 second. Yes, that's a very good segue into, we're going to do a trivia question. Let this trivia question lighten your life by hopefully winning a gift certificate to Messenger Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts. All right, here we go. If you are ready to answer a trivia question, call 785-621-4110. And your question is, which mysteries of the Rosary have the crowning of thorns? Is it A, glorious, B, sorrowful, C, joyful, or D, luminous? Which mysteries of the Rosary have the crowning of thorns? A, glorious, B, sorrowful, C, joyful, D, luminous. 785-621-4110. Let's get those phones ringing. 785-621-4110. And then when you're done answering the question, if you would like, you could say, I would also like to donate, and that would be much appreciated. 785-621-4110. Back to Dr. Abe Fisher talking about Christ our light and what does that light do in our lives. So where are we going now, sir?
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing, an obvious thing, just if you think along the terms of biology, light allows us to see, right? I mean, just the way our eyes work. We don't see anything unless there's light coming in. The light of Christ allows us to see the world truly, as it truly is, because we can see things very wrongly. The light of Christ allows us to see the truth of Christ, the truth of God, things as they really are. And we see that the Gospel of John is great for many reasons, but he does a lot with these metaphors, these images of light and darkness, connects them with understanding and ignorance. Light is a metaphor for, oh, now I see, I get it. I've seen the light. This understanding versus the darkness of ignorance. If you're in darkness, you don't understand. You're ignorant. He also uses it as a metaphor for faith versus doubt. The light of faith versus the darkness of doubt. He talks about that, accuses the temple authorities of that on numerous occasions, that you're in darkness. You're children of the darkness because you don't have faith. You don't. He was constantly harping on them about that darkness of doubt. And just to just for any of our listeners out there who might need this clarification, I guess this is coming from my OCIA days. A lot of times people think, well, so is it evil? Is it a sin? Is it wrong for me to have any doubts about the faith?
No.
And so we clarify, questioning is fine and is good and is encouraged, because by questioning we grow in our faith, and we I don't understand that. You question it. I need some more understanding.
Yeah.
Doubt is when we say, I don't think that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a problem. When we say, I think the church is wrong, I think I know better, I don't think that's right. That's doubt. Questioning is great. It helps us grow. Helps us. So anyway, I'll just clarify.
No, I think that's good, because that it could be said that sin entered into the heart of Adam and Eve before they took the bite because of that, because they doubted that God was a good father. Not that they were like, oh, man, God, can you explain this to me? Right. But instead they were like, I don't think the old man knows what he's talking about. So we're going to do this on our own.
Yeah.
So that's what you're talking about. There's, questions are wonderful, but to doubt and think that you are then the highest form of moral authority. That's where you get in trouble.
Yep. So Abraham is lifted up as our model of faith, because He believed that God could do, and would do what he said he would. He'd keep his promises.
Yeah.
So Adam and Eve, they kind of doubted that. They didn't know that God would take care of them the way he said that he would. So I've got to take things into my own hands and kind of control this a little bit.
Yeah.
Lack of faith. Okay. So the light removes doubt, moves us into faith, removes ignorance, moves us into understanding, helps us to see truly. Light grants us safety as we move about, right? Safety on our spiritual journey, on our spiritual path. In the Gospels and in the Psalms, we talk about, light preventing us from stumbling. That, if you walk in the light, you walk with me, you won't strike your foot against a stone because you can see it. In the darkness, you can stumble and fall. In a spiritual sense, you can stumble and fall into sin, fall away from God. The light, if you remain in the light of Christ, that won't happen.
Yeah.
Right. And finally, well, there's many things. This isn't the end. This is just the last one on my list. But light shining in the darkness guides us. It gives us. It beckons to us. We're a little more evolved than a moth. That gets drawn to the flame, but there's still that little bit in us. You see a light off in the distance, and what is that? You want to go towards it. You want to see what it's about, and we're drawn to it. Oftentimes, the light will show us the way home. You think about like a lighthouse for a ship out on the sea. It shows you the way home. It orientates us. It gives us a heading of where we're going. And as that light is Christ, the light is God, as we've established. That light gives us a direction to go in our spiritual life. It prevents us, or in some cases rescues us from becoming lost or being lost, by showing us the way home. This kind of hit home to me in a little bit of a powerful way recently this fall. My son had shot a deer in the middle of his very large pasture, and he wanted me to go down and help him gather it up. And so I went down there, and it was towards the end of the day, and by the time we got down there, it was pitch black. And we're out in this pasture, and we're driving around. I left the vehicle running with the lights on, and we're walking around trying to find this. It's very, very rough terrain, so we couldn't take the vehicle up and down hills. We couldn't see the lights, and it is a pasture we're both very familiar with. But in the middle of the night, totally pitch black, away from any town lights or anything. It was very disorienting until you could get up a little bit, gain a little bit of altitude, and see the lights of the vehicle. It's like, okay, now I know where I'm at. Now I know where this is. But before that, it's just very unsettling, and you can completely lose your way and not know what direction you're going.
Yeah.
So that's something that the light of Christ does for us if we're always heading towards him and keeping that light in front of us.
Absolutely. Quick break here. I want to congratulate Jody Patton, who's our trivia winner. The question there was, which mysteries of the rosary have the crowning of thorns? The correct answer there is the sorrowful mysteries. Good job. Those mysteries are traditionally said on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So nice job on that. Congratulations, Jody. We'll get you put into that drawing for a $50 gift certificate to Messenger, Traditional Catholic Books and Gifts here in Hays. You're listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Carathon, Light in the Darkness, and we're having a wonderful conversation with Dr. Abe Fisher. We would like to ask that you would prayerfully consider donating, as we do have our drive going on right now. We are going to try and make it to that $125,000 goal at the end of the week. It's been a blessing to be in here today and yesterday, and we're going to keep going, keep plugging along. And we thank you for doing all the heavy lifting. If you can help us continue to do that, call 785-621-4110. That's 785-621-4110. And continue to help donate to the cause of evangelization. Here we go back to Dr. Abe Fisher and Christ Our Light. So this has been a wonderful journey so far. What do you have in store for us next?
So we talk about all these wonderful things that light can do for us, spiritual light in particular. Where do we go from here? It's like, okay, well, that's great. This light does all these great things, but how do I respond to that? How do I make that mine? How do I interact with it, participate in it? So if we go back, it's kind of funny. I don't want to laugh at the Gospels, but sometimes you find something that's a little bit humorous. Go back to this prologue of John that we were talking about a little bit earlier. And I always remember Scott Hahn one time was talking about this. You've got this beautiful poem going on. I'll just do a little bit at the end. What came to be through him was life, and this life was the light of the human race. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. And we interrupt this message to tell you about this guy named John.
That is exactly right. That's exactly what happens.
So we go along. The next verse, after the darkness has not overcome it, is a man named John was sent from God.
Yeah.
Okay.
What? Yeah.
He came for testimony, to testify to the light. Okay, so we've established this light that is the life of the world. A man named John came to testify to the light, so that all might believe through him. This light brings faith, right? Moves us away from doubt into faith. He was not the light, but came to testify to the light. The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. So this prologue of the Gospel of John, you can just kind of sense, just kind of feel what amazing news this is to this people who are waiting in darkness, And of course, at the time the Gospel of John was written, we were already past the resurrection and the ascension. I mean, the whole story has been told. But still, for those who maybe were on the fence or didn't quite receive Christ or understand what was going on and have been waiting for generations, and they hear this light was coming into the world, and John is coming to testify to the light. So it shifts from talking about Christ to talking about this very important ministry, who was both preparing the way for Christ, but then also testifying to him beyond Christ. He's not the light. He's not Christ himself, obviously. He's not the light, but he shines that light, the light, in all these dark places that had not yet seen it. He shines it on King Herod, and that doesn't go so well at the end. Herod doesn't receive that very well, ends up having him executed. But he testifies, he shines this light in all these dark places. Light and life are always closely connected in the New Testament, especially on the lips of Jesus himself. The prologue says, what came to be through him was life, and that life was the light of the human race. Jesus himself, in the Gospel of John, we have that section there, the 7 I am sayings, hearkening back to the divine name given at the burning bush with Moses. One of these, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Light and life are always connected there. I am the light of the world. But then this is the interesting thing. So Jesus very clearly tells us that he is the light. Yeah. They're equated, equal sign there. I am the light of the world. But there's another passage in the Gospels, Gospel of Matthew, somewhat well known, the Sermon on the Mount, chapter 5 of Matthew's Gospel. It says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a mountain cannot be hidden, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a bushel basket. It's set on a lampstand, where it gives light to all in the house. Just so your light must shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your heavenly Father." It's not a suggestion, it's a command. Your light must shine. So, how do we reconcile this? Jesus says, I am the light of the world. Jesus says, you are the light of the world.
Yeah.
How do you reconcile that?
I like analogies. I always caution people because analogies will always fall flat to some degree. So you take them as far as you can and then leave them from there. But as you're talking, I'm thinking about even lights in a house. So in our living room, we have a fan and it has the main light. You turn that on and pretty much the whole room is lit up.
Okay.
But there's also our living room's big enough that if you go over to the other section and it's at nighttime, the people over in the other section, it's a little bit darker over there. So you got to turn on that other light for them to be able to read properly, see the book and stuff like that. And also, if you go to a completely different part of the house, there's no light at all in some of the places of the house coming from that light. So it's not that that light's not on, but that there's other places within the house that need illumined with another light. And so kind of like that, it's not that Jesus couldn't illumine everything, but as he made us as a human community, sometimes he's saying, I need you to be my light so that others can see my light through you. And so that's kind of why, I say I like analogies, because we can understand that like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's nice.
There is the main light, but yet there's other lights that are asked to be illumined so that you can see, so that others can see.
Yeah, I like that. That's nice. So,
all right, I got to win. Yes, Dr. Abe Fisher. No, thanks. Go ahead.
It's all win. It's all win. But that's exactly right. So we participate in that. And in fact, there's lots of places in the New Testament. I'm going to rattle some off here just for our listeners if they want to look them up later, that Jesus or St. Paul or another writer tells us specifically Christ is in us. The light of the world is in us. And because of that, we shine that light. The light that we shine out is the light of Christ.
Yeah.
John 14:20 says, I am in my Father, and you are in me, and I am in you. Colossians 1:27, the glorious riches of this mystery, which is Christ in you. A famous one is Galatians 2:20. St. Paul, it's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And we take this seriously. We have Christ within us. For Catholics in particular, because of the sacrament of the Eucharist, we have Christ within us in a really deep and profound way. Body, blood, soul, and divinity, and light, right?
Yeah.
The light of his divinity. We have this light of Christ within us. But this also comes with a little bit of a warning. In Luke chapter 11, Jesus warns us to guard this, to protect it, and to be careful. He says, take care then that the light in you not become darkness. So apparently that's a possibility. Again, if we turn away and walk into that cave that you were talking about. Take care the light in you not become darkness. If your whole body is full of light and no part of it is in darkness, then it will be as full of light as a lamp illuminating you with its brightness. So we have to protect it. And it's kind of a cool passage that, number one, you can lose this light and become darkness or become partially dark. But also, it's possible that your whole body is full of light. So that's a possibility that he's holding out too. And that's our goal that we're working toward, right?
Yeah.
It's nice to know that's on the table.
No kidding.
That's a possible goal that we can do. So we have this light within us as, it's a saving grace, and it's also a very serious obligation to go and spread this light, like I said, in all those dark places that have not yet heard the gospel, not yet, seen this light of Christ, which in our modern world may not be that many places, or have not been in the right circumstance, the right situation to really receive it, have not heard it authentically, or because of their family history or social situation, have not really been able to internalize it, able to receive it, still have some of those dark corners that we need to shine the light in.
Yeah. Wow. We are talking with Dr. Abe Fisher about Christ Our Light. You're listening to Divine Mercy Radio's Fall Carathon, Light in the Darkness. Please call 785-621-4110 if you would like to donate to our cause of evangelization. We love being able to do this. We love putting out good quality programming. We also really appreciate everything that you do, because it is through your donations that this is possible. Absolutely could not happen without you. So thank you so very much for supporting us. Please continue to do so with your prayers. Please continue to do so with your donations. 785-621-4110. Let's see if we can get a few more donations. We've got about 10 minutes left in this hour. So if we could get a $500 donation, $250, $150, whatever it is, please call in 785-621-4110 and let's use up some more of those matching funds. There we go. Sometimes my mouth gets faster than my brain. Please call 785-621-4110 and let's talk some more with Dr. Abe Fisher about Christ our light.
So I have one little comment that I'll save for the final comment out the door. But in the meantime, in the time that we have here, I just was wondering, like in Advent, as you see this, we are a people waiting in darkness, and we know the light has come. We know that this is coming, and we're preparing for it. Do you have some favorite ways that you like to do that you like to prepare? Actually,
slowing down a little bit. I mean, I know that this isn't slowing down terribly because I'm here behind the microphone, but this is
slow
great.
For you.
But I do every year. I try to make a little recollection of the world zooming by as we're going through this, because we have to be careful not to enter into the fast-paced societal movement. That, I think, robs us of the great ability to enter into Advent of, okay, let's prepare.
Yeah.
Let's get ready. Because otherwise we really don't, we end up speeding up ourselves. And then here's what I notice. We end up more impatient, more cranky, angry. We snap at people. We're not as charitable. When Advent and the waiting for Christ should be something that makes us more charitable, more kind to others, more joyful. And so that's one thing that I try to do a little bit is, less of the phone, because that always makes me more anxious anyway. Less of any other outside influence, more reading, focus on those things that really matter. Definitely lots of family time, which we do anyway, but as much family time as possible. And so, those are some of the things that I try to make sure that I'm doing during Advent to make sure I'm not just rushing through it, but I'm allowing the light to come the way that it's supposed to.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you?
For a while, when my kids were smaller, I really wrestled with trying to reconcile what's going on in the world with what's going on in the church. And it was ruining Christmas for me. And I finally came to the realization I just had to understand that there's two completely separate celebrations going on.
Yep.
So in the church, we're celebrating the incarnation of Christ. And Advent is this time of waiting and preparing and, turning our hearts, like doing a little moral inventory, spiritual inventory. Am I prepared? Am I prepared to receive Christ into the world, into my heart, and cleaning house, going to reconciliation, reconciling with anyone you might have issues with or whatever, trying to clean your spiritual house and be ready, prepare for this. That's going on in the church. The world is going crazy, and they're celebrating commerce.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yep.
Right? They're celebrating business, and that's fine. But it's separate. And that's why I think something like, I was a little bit tongue in cheek suggesting that people read through the whole book of Isaiah during Advent, but
it's not a bad idea.
Something along those lines that puts us in that emotion, in that mood, kind of the mood that's created by the O Come, Emmanuel song, this like mournful, seemingly endless waiting and desperate anticipation, desperate need, yearning, makes us yearn and desire the coming of Christ, where we're not celebrating yet. In the church, we celebrate the incarnation at Christmas and for 12 days afterwards, We have the Christmas season that we celebrate Christmas. Right now we're preparing and we're waiting and hoping. And it's just important to keep that straight.
Absolutely. Well, we've got, are you ready for your final point? We've got about 5 minutes left.
Okay.
So I wanted to make sure that you had plenty of time to get it in because this has been a great conversation.
It's not maybe that long, but So I just want to say, we're talking about this ministry of John the Baptist, testifying to the light and going out and recognizing that we have this light of Christ within us, and our obligation to shine this light and to find and illuminate all these dark places that remain in the world. And that's not too hard to do, to find dark places that remain in our world.
Yeah.
So it dawned on me that's exactly what we're doing here this week. A ministry like Divine Mercy Radio, it's what they're all about, is shining this light of Christ in all of the remaining dark places. We don't know where this reaches, how far it goes. This is this is a great way to begin that testimony, supporting this mission. If you're unable to do more than that yourself, you can help the radio station here to do that. And it's a it's a great way to shine that light into all of these little places during that mission. I just want to say, and I hope people will pick up that phone, make the pledge, make a donation, but not hang up the phone and say, okay, now I've shown the light in the dark places. Now I'm done. Hang up the phone and say, okay, now I've begun. Now I've started, and let it grow from there. But just a challenge, I guess, or a request to take this seriously. To there's lots of ways, of course, to do that in our conversations, in just the way we live our lives, in our giving, in our generosity. There's many ways that we can be that light of Christ and shine that light of Christ. But just to be very intentional about it, because it is a command. It's not just a suggestion.
Yeah. There you go. Now, I want to tell you before you leave, Jackie Brown called and she donated $50. Thank you very much, Jackie. That's $100 donation with the matching funds. But she also says that they miss you at IHM, but you're doing a great job on the radio. So
we miss them too. They're our partners in crime in OCIA.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, Dr. Fisher, it is great to see you again. Thank you so much. I know you'll bless us with your prayers, and we'll do the same.
Okay.
Have a wonderful day, sir. We just got done having a great conversation with Dr. Abe Fisher talking about Christ Our Light. Go back and find that one again. Watch it on YouTube. Give it a thumbs up on Facebook.